Hello again, friends, and welcome to another edition of If This Car Could Talk. We're glad you're with us because today we're going to tell you all about a muscle car that most people may be familiar with but don't know all the fascinating details. In 1969, Ford would also supply performance enthusiasts with budget muscle cars. The model available from Ford Motor Company is actually and officially a Fairlane Cobra, not a Torino Cobra. Mercury had the Cyclone CJ. The Torino Cobra came along in 1970 and was available for one more year into 1971. There are a ton of differences between those 2 years, and at some point we'll be making a video about these awesome and very handsome cars. By 1969, the muscle car wars were red hot in the United States. At Ford, both divisions offered very worthy candidates for dominance on the street and strip. Both cars were standard with the sophomore edition of the incredible 428 Cobra jet engine, available in several flavors. Standard equipment included a 4-speed manual transmission, heavy-duty suspension and shocks, a large front sway bar, a beefy 9-inch rear axle, and 14x6 wheels, either plain or the styled wheels in 3 different finishes. All were equipped with the latest in performance tires, usually the Goodyear Polyglass or the Firestone wide ovals, in size F70-14, either as a raised white letter or a pinstripe white wall. A side note here. When 69 Fairlane Cobras were first seen wearing these Goodyear tires, the sidewall simply read Polyglass instead of the Polyglass F70-14. When reproduction tires first appeared, they were the ones that included the tire size on the black walls. Later, the correct Polyglass sidewalls were available. All styles are considered acceptable for most concourse shows. The same can be said for the Firestone models as well. All standard Fairlane Torino colors could be ordered for both the interior and exterior. Every standard option, with few exceptions, could be ordered on these cool cars. Now let's discuss the model series from which the 69 Cobra descended. In the Ford Master Parts catalog, every model and sub-series of Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury has specific body codes that are referenced within the catalog during this time period. In the case of the Fairlane Cobra in 69, there were 4 catalog codes, and they're also found on each car's left door-mounted data plate. The Sports Roof's 2 body codes are 63B for a standard fastback with bench seats, and 63E for cars with front bucket seats. The formal hardtops codes are 65B for a standard model with bench seats, and 65E with buckets. These are also the same codes shown in the Master Parts catalog for a Fairlane 500. To confirm an authentic and real Cobra, the VIN's 3rd and 4th digit, which denotes the model and body style of car, should be 45 for the hardtop and 46 for the fastback. This is unique to the Cobra. A standard Fairlane 500 hardtop would be 33 and 35 for the fastbacks. It's for these reasons that a Cobra in 1969 is a Fairlane Cobra and not a Torino Cobra. I believe the confusion is that Ford started running the NASCAR-bred Talladegas. This car was a Torino Talladega. This is also the first model named for Carroll Shelby's original 2-seater sports car that was not directly descended from a Shelby product. When Shelby and Ford parted ways in 1967, there was an agreement to let Ford continue to use the Cobra name in various forms on only the Shelby models. But Ford put the name on several engines of the era and on the mid-size Cobra cars without Shelby's authorization. It's said a lawsuit was filed to settle this issue, and Ford won. The Cobra name was associated with the Torino in 1970 and 71, but these were irrefutably Torino Cobras. Of course, we know there were many Mustangs throughout the years that also sported this moniker. The 1969 Cobra is the only non-Shelby Cobra that came in two body styles during the same year. Later cars in 1970 and 71 were only available in one body style. This was also the only FE-powered non-Shelby Cobra car. A curious thing is seen in the 1969 Fairlane Torino showroom sales catalog, as well as some early advertising. The Cobras had front fender model identification as well as rear panel identification that resembled decals depicting a cartoon-like snake on wheels. As far as I can tell, all production cars received metal emblems. The snake and the word Cobra were two separate parts, both on the front fenders and in the rear. The metal snake looked eerily similar to the ones used on 69 GT350s and 500s. However, later this cartoon snake would make an appearance on the 70 Torino Cobra. As an aside, I worked in Ford dealers throughout my career in auto parts. At one store, there was a mechanic named John who was working as a technician at a local dealer in 1968. As soon as he heard about the availability of the Cobra for 69, he ordered one. He got a real early production car, and there were metal Cobra emblems in the proper places, but the rear quarter panels had Fairlane 500 badges. At the time, John still had the car. I went by his place to see it for myself. I can confirm this is true. Has anyone else seen this? The engine code is the fifth digit of the VIN, and as stated earlier, was either a 428 Cobra Jet with ram air, an R code, or without ram air, a Q code. If the car had the drag pack option, the engine codes are still the same regardless of induction. Only the ram air cars had a functional fiberglass hood scoop. The scoop also indicated on both sides that there was a 428 Cobra Jet under the hood. It was the same scoop seen on Torino GTs and various Mustangs in 1969. The non-ram air cars had a plain flat hood, and the 428 emblems used were from the Galaxy line. They were positioned on the front part of the front fenders. The drag pack can be confirmed on the door data plate as a V or a W axle code, or by visual inspection of the engine. However, that's not always possible if the original engine is missing. The V is the 391 gear, and the W is the 430 rear axle gear. Enthusiasts will often refer to each as a drag pack or a super drag pack. This was never how Ford categorized them, but over the years, this colloquialism is seen and heard often. Visual differences between the CJ and the SCJ are easily spotted. Cobra Jet cars could be optioned with air conditioning, among other things. The SCJ was never available from the factory with air conditioning. These cars all had external oil coolers, and internally had 427 Le Mans type connecting rods and different crankshafts because their external balance was larger. All other external parts were the same between the Cobra Jet and the Super Cobra Jet. It was curious that all four versions never differed in their rated horsepower. All were said to produce 335 horsepower at 5,600 RPM. Additionally, all Cobras were standard with the top-loader 4-speed manual transmission. An optional C6 automatic was on the option list. Because every manufacturer's format for a budget muscle car didn't include many comfort and convenience features as standard fare, all the auto companies made a lot of additional profits offering a plethora of options. Popular options included bucket seats, a console, a rim-blow steering wheel, power steering and brakes, a tachometer, a clock, and much more. Because of this, it's conceivable that no two Cobras were built exactly the same. The following 2 years saw the Cobra completely redesigned, with the most obvious being new engine choices. In 1970, the Cobra could be had with the standard 429 Thunderjet engine, or the optional Cobra Jet with ram air or non-ram air. These were all 385 series engines. Additionally, the drag pack continued to also be an option. In 1971, with minor styling cues, the Cobra's standard engine was now the 351 Cleveland 4-barrel. The drag pack was no longer available in 1971. In both years, the 4-speed transmission was standard, and as before, a huge list of options were readily available. I know you're probably interested in exactly how many Cobras in both body styles rolled out of Ford showrooms for the 1969 model year. Here are the numbers. A 63B, 22,504. A 63E, 7,345. A 65B, 24,800. And a 65E, 3,379. Please note that these numbers also include the Fairlane 500 models. Well, we hope you enjoyed our look at the 1969 Ford Fairlane Cobra models. Tell us in the comments if you ever had one and any adventures you had. Other related comments are welcomed as well. Let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.